What up, Hope Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. Chavez and I have recently started going to the gym again, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm enjoying going to the gym again, but I'm wondering if maybe I'm self-sabotaging a little bit because I'm going to the gym, but I have not really changed my diet at all. So like I went to the gym last night, but then this morning I ate 3 waffles with peanut butter and syrup. And while I can make the argument that peanut butter is a source of protein and therefore good for me working out, I really feel like maybe the copious amounts of syrup that I put in my waffles kind of cancels that out. I think maybe that doesn't work out. Oh, who knows? I'll look at the macros later. I don't know what the fuck macros are. Who's in? I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. Today we are here to watch Overly Sarcastic Productions. We've been watching Blue. I've been watching a lot of history and architecture videos from them, and now we are watching a trope talk, or not trope talk. Now we are watching a video from Red. It came out back in March. It's called Enki and Ninmah. I have never heard of this myth in my life. Never even heard of anything close to it. So I'm actually pretty excited to be exposed to something new for which I don't have any like preconceived notions or anything like that. I will also be releasing a reaction to their most recent trope talk, Pure of Heart. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. And as always, if you guys are just really having a hankering for me reacting to more OSP content, you can always check out my OSP reaction playlist. I do have that playlist. I think it's mostly accurate. People are always telling me that this video and that video is missing from it, and I always make a mental note to fix it, and then 10 days pass and I can't remember what I did 3 days ago, much less which video that person said was missing from the playlist. So if there's a video missing from the playlist, I apologize, but there's tons of good content on there for you to enjoy. I personally don't have anything to say. I don't know anything about this myth, and I would really like to. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Pretty much every mythos on the planet has at one point attempted to answer baby's first existential question. Where did we come from? Simple on paper, since the answer is typically your parents. But in practice, that simple question opens up a cascade of other questions of increasingly existential complexity. Where did the parents come from? Where did their parents come from?
Right,
we can extrapolate pretty simply that somewhere along the line there has to have been a first person to be the first parent, so where did they come from? Where did the world come from, and what's our place in it? And why are we like this? Why are some people different from other people, and what does that mean? And before we knew about evolution, this was a doozy of a conundrum, all right. Plenty of answers have been proposed. Many myths posit that humans were originally created by some benevolent deities, sculpted from clay or wood or other earthly materials. In some other stories, humans instead arise by accident, a collateral consequence from some divine struggle. Pretty much the only consistent theme is that the creation of humanity is usually pretty quick and simple, even glossed over, because from a world-building angle, it doesn't really need to be complicated. Once you get a couple humans, you usually get more humans pretty quick, so that's really all we need to explain where the rest of the people come from. Not many stories really feel the need to get that much more detailed. But there are exceptions. Today, let's talk about a Sumerian creation myth that goes into extreme detail about the creation of humanity and all that entails.
All right, let's do it.
This story begins shortly after the creation of heaven and earth, and the gods are very busy digging canals, dredging clay, and overall really living that glamorous divine life. Well, except for Enki, primordial god of water, who's been napping in his private water dimension the whole time. Enki's mom, Ninmah, hears the gods complaining about Enki slacking off and goes to passive-aggressively slap him awake and convince him to do something about it. Enki wakes up, assesses the situation, draws up some blueprints for something that'll be really good at digging canals, and hands them off to Ninmah, presumably before rolling over and going back to sleep for 5 more minutes. Ninmah—
You know what that's called? That's called delegation, okay? Enki said, you're not gonna be up in here. I am the supervisor, okay? I'm doing my supervisory duties. Go build you a little peon and leave me out of this. I support that. I support that mentality, Enki.
With the help of Enki, Alzin hands them off to Ninmah, presumably before rolling over and going back to sleep for 5 more minutes. Ninmah, with the help of Enki's design and several other gods, sculpts the first humans out of clay and puts them to work doing all that tough canal stuff. Now that they've discovered the art of delegation, the gods relax and throw a big party. Everyone's super happy with Enki for coming up with this plan, and he's praised for his wisdom and how good he is at deciding everyone's destinies. So Enki parties it up and gets super drunk, and so does his wife Ninmah, goddess of mountains and one of the co-creators of humanity. And pretty soon, Enki and Ninmah are both super plastered and ready to make some questionable decisions. Ninmah's like,
listen up, you listen. I can do whatever I want, right? I'm a goddess. I can make a dude with whatever fate I want, good or bad.
And Enki's like,
oh yeah? Well, anything you can do, I can do something other than that. So like, I can make anyone have any fate, no matter what you do. So if you do something bad, I can give him something good. How about that?
So Ninmah grabs a big sloppy handful of that primordial creation clay and starts making dudes willy-nilly. First up, she makes a dude whose hands don't work, and Enki thinks this dude would actually be a perfect addition to the king's court, since what with this whole hand situation, he won't be able to steal the king's stuff, so he's a perfect candidate for a trusted advisor. Next up, Ninmah makes a blind guy, but Enki gives him prodigious musical skill and puts him in the king's court too. Third up is a guy whose feet don't work, and Enki makes him a skilled silversmith and also a courtier to the king. And
Enki was like, nah, I got this. You not finna mess up my kids, okay? My kids are gonna eat. If I eat, my kids gonna eat. I support you, Enki. I like you. Ninmah is the villainess in this story. Just torturing niggas for no reason. For what? For why? What did people ever do to you? Nothing except dig your canals for you, ho. Should I not? I should not talk about a goddess like that, I guess. Damn, I'm really Parising it up, aren't I?
I'm not here to sass or judge, but I think Enki might be being a bit uncreative with these good fates. Ninmah should try making someone with a healthy disrespect for authority. See what Enki does about that. Anyway, fourth up, she makes a guy whose dong doesn't work, but Enki dumps a load of magic water over him, which fixes that up real nice. Apparently, Venus doesn't work disease is caused by minor demonic possession. The more you know. Then Ninmah mixes things up a bit and makes an infertile woman. Enki makes her a skilled weaver and puts her in the harem of the queen.
This is your reminder that harem literally just means women's quarters of the household, a private space where the women and prepubescent men of the family, specifically the royal family, could hang out in a modest and protected area, often guarded by eunuchs. It originated in Mesopotamia, hence its use in this myth, and was later adopted into the Islamic world. The sexualized interpretation popular today was the result of salacious European dudes who concluded the only reason Muslim women would stay in a private room they weren't allowed into was if they were saving all that hot exotic lovin' for their male masters. Thanks again, Europe. In practice, it was simply considered socially inappropriate for women to interact with men outside their own husbands and family, though this was limited somewhat by practicality, as many working class women held jobs that put them in contact with the public in general. This also created a space of jobs that needed women to do them for decency reasons, as any situation that involved women's needs would be naturally forbidden to men. A harem was a sign of social status and privilege, as it was indicated that the family was well off enough that the women did not need to work. As a result, women in a harem, were often of high social status and politically powerful. Thank you, moving on. Basically, do not project your Western modern ideals onto this thousands-year-old creation myth. Please and thank you. But also, I just think it's so fascinating that the concept of a harem is like so offensive to people. Like an actual harem, not like, ooh, a harem hentai. Right? Like, but the concept, but it's the same as the idea of modesty with Christianity, which is problematic in and of itself. But I'm just saying, like, it's not a form, like, I feel like the foreignness, literally, of the concept is what people object to. What I'm saying is that xenophobia is the root of all evil, okay? Moving on.
Finally, Ninmah creates an intersex person who Enki, you guessed it, places in the king's court in some kind of position of honor. The text is both unclear and physically broken in places, so hey, we're doing our best. Side note, this king better be a good boss or Enki's gonna be real disappointed. So, Ninmah's pretty pissed, but Enki's not done yet. He takes the last of the clay and creates a very, very busted up dude named Umul. Umul is what is medically classified as a hot mess, with basically no functional organs. Ninmah tries to talk to him, but Umul is too messed up to understand her, and Ninmah is very frustrated, accusing Enki of making some someone neither alive nor dead. Since Ninmah fails to find a way to counterbalance Umul's messed up fate, while Enki was able to guarantee good lives for all her creations, Ninmah loses the competition and Enki is praised as the highest, coolest god around. And so is his dick for some reason. Thanks, Mesopotamia. Anything you...
Okay, but what about the messed up human? What happened to that guy? I feel like we're missing a part of the story here. He's just messed up. He was just created and is messed up now. That hurts my heart. Why would you do this? Also, there's a note at the end of this video. This myth is sometimes cited as a just so story, explaining the existence of disabled people, which is technically one way to interpret it, but I'm not a fan because it's a bit dismissive. I agree with you there, Red. I prefer the less casually insulting interpretation, e.g. that this myth explains that everyone has a place in the world they can thrive, regardless of disability, and it's just a matter of finding that place. For the life of me, I can't remember why I put a fish on Enki's head, but I can't change his design now, so here we are. I really enjoyed this. Also, obviously you put a fish on his head because he's the god of water. Duh, Red. Great minds. You got this. You got this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I had a great time with it. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. And other than that, peace out, Ho Biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.